You're listening to Your Magical Midlife. This podcast is for women who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-the-box thinkers. If you're a Gen X woman who never quite fit in, and probably never will, listen up. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. I'm a licensed clinical social worker and coach, and I'm here to guide you through the expansive, exhilarating, and sometimes exhausting crossroads that we find ourselves in at midlife. Whether you're a seasoned listener or just joining the adventure, think of this podcast as your hot pink convertible cruising down the highway of change. Together we'll navigate the sometimes baffling backroads of midlife and collect all the cool souvenirs along the way. Get in and buckle up. Our map may have flown out the window miles ago, but that doesn't mean we aren't going to have a blast. Let's hit the road and discover the magic just around the bend. Rosebud Woman was developed in response to women's unaddressed needs for beautiful, luxurious products that provide relief and pleasure, whether it be for period pain, pregnancy, perimenopausal woes, or menopause symptoms. Intimate wellness products are often designed to use with a sexual partner or medicalized to treat a diagnosed issue. Rosebud Woman feels different. It feels ceremonial, like I'm doing a beauty ritual while addressing my 50-plus-year-old body's needs. Their everyday honor balm is gynecology tested and hormone-free. It hydrates, conditions, and replenishes intimate skin. It is excellent for all phases of a woman's life. Go below to my show notes and use the affiliate link for 20% off. Something interesting has happened to me on the other side of 50. And maybe it's happening to you too. I no longer identify as young. I no longer identify with youth culture at all. I don't really know what a Dojo Cat is. I don't care about any of the celebrities that are trotted out in front of me. I don't know their names. I don't know what shows they're on, and I don't care. And also, young people don't look at me and think I'm one of them anymore. Now, that's not a new phenomenon. Sometime around the time I was in my early 40s, I started getting mammed, and I got mammed all the time. And the first time it happened to me, I was very taken aback. You would have thought this person had slapped me across the side of the face. I said to them, "Did you just call me ma'am?" And they were like, "Oh, I was just trying to be polite." It was like some poor teenager in the grocery store. And I corrected them that I was definitely not a ma'am. I was definitely a miss, and they better stop ma'aming me or I was going to choke them with their lanyard. I was a little aggressive in my 40s. I'm going to chalk it up to perimenopause. Anyway, I saw a kid the other day, and this kid was wearing a Nirvana shirt, and this kid was probably 16 or 17 years old. And I am hedging my bets that this kid doesn't listen to Nirvana, because none of these kids listen to anything, I think, that would sound like that. I bet that this kid just saw this image. It was, that smoky-eyed Kurt Cobain image where it's in like a grainy black and white, and they probably just thought it looked cool. Like when you see a kid in a Ramones shirt, they probably don't listen to the Ramones. They probably just think it looks cool, because that's what the kids do now. The kids, everything is a filter for these kids. A image is something that they will identify with and act like it's theirs. They put filters on everything they do. It's like their whole world is artificial in some way. I'm not sure they really connect with their pop culture or their music in the way that we did in the 80s and the 90s. We were really identified by our music. But I think I'm going on a tangent. What I'm trying to say is, I no longer think of myself as young, and no one thinks of me as young either. And you know what? That's totally okay. 50 is not young. 50 is not the new 30. 50 is not the new 40. 50 is 50. And there's nothing wrong with being 50. And in fact, I'm 53. I'm almost halfway through my 53rd year. I have crow's feet. I have liver spots on my face and on my hands and on my legs. I don't have varicose veins, but that's probably genetic because no one in my family gets them. I am covered in cellulite. I have laugh lines. I have frown lines. My teeth are shit at this point. I definitely do not. There's nothing about me that says young. Nothing about me says young. And that's totally okay. It's okay to put down the mantle of youth. I don't want to be a middle-aged woman who's pretending to not be a middle-aged woman. I see a lot of that. You see a lot of like old girls, like old little girls. And I don't want to be that person. And if that's I say this a lot on the podcast, if that's your jam, more power to you. I say that a lot because I don't want anyone to think that I'm judging them for the way that they are responding to aging, because let's face it, aging is really hard. It's really hard to age. It's scary. It reminds you of your mortality. Your parents pass away. You lose friends because they pass away. People get sick. It's scary to age. There's a lot of responsibility. Your body needs constant maintenance. You constantly have to go to the doctor or the dentist. You get all these like older person problems that are baffling and you never thought were going to happen to you. Like you need a root canal, or you have to go to the chiropractor, or get screened for osteoporosis. I mean, that was a trip. I'm like, how am I at the age where I now need to be screened for osteoporosis? How am I at the colonoscopy age? I was not mentally and emotionally prepared to be at this stage of my life. It's just not easy to age. But I also would never want to be young now. I'm so grateful to have been young in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, if you think being in your 30s is still young, which to me at 53, I think 30s is still young. So I'm so grateful that I came of age before social media. I'm so grateful that I was young when being young meant being free and being unmonitored and being unsupervised. I'm so grateful I grew up in a time where you could ride around on your bike and no one knew where you were and nobody really cared. I'm so grateful I went to arcades by myself. I'm so grateful I'd go to the used bookstore by myself because that's how much of a nerd I was. I would go and dig through for the Nancy Drew books in the used bookstore by myself on my bicycle. I'm so grateful that I had a free-ranged, unsupervised childhood. I'm so grateful that I traveled across Europe with a backpack. Wasn't even really a backpack. I'm so grateful I traveled across Europe with a duffel bag that I wore as a backpack because I didn't have, parenting that would tell me, maybe you should invest in like a real backpack and not wear a duffel bag on your back because it's going to hurt after a while. And it did. Even at 21 years old, it still hurt. I'm so grateful that I grew up in a time before iPhones and Google Maps and knowing everything in advance and knowing where everybody was and knowing who was leaving you out and how much you were being left out and that all your friends were hanging out without you and posting about it on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. I'm so grateful. So if the payoff is I have to be 53, then that's a fucking payoff I will take any day of the week. I'm really, really grateful that I grew up at a time where if people judged you, they didn't judge you on the internet. They didn't judge you so publicly. They may have talked about you behind your back, and maybe you knew they were talking about you behind your back, but you didn't know all the time. The bullying stopped when you left high school. The bullying didn't continue 24/7 on social media, and I am so grateful for that. I feel really bad for young people now. I feel bad for them because they don't even know how badly their music sucks. Their music really sucks. Whatever a Dojo Cat is, I want no part of it. Their television shows also suck. Sorry, 90 Day Fiancé is not a television show. It's a train wreck. Their movies, for the most part, suck too. You know, I came of age. I'm very biased, as you can probably tell, but I feel like I came of age in the golden age of everything. The golden age of music, the golden age of movies, the golden age of TV, the golden age of society. And I feel like we have gone off a cliff. And maybe that's what everyone says when they get to 50, right? Maybe everybody says that, you know, the world has gone to hell in a handbasket. And maybe that's just an old person thing to say. Like, the next thing I'm going to say is, get off my lawn. But since my lawn is not technically mine to own, it's technically owned by my HOA. Legally, I can't even tell you to get off my lawn. Not legally. I can tell you to get off my courtyard, but that's really not as catchy, right? Ugh, I'm okay with being 53. I really am. I wish my knees didn't creak as much. I wish I didn't run out of energy by 8 o'clock at night. I wish I didn't feel so judgmental when I looked in the mirror and saw myself as having big bags under my eyes or teeth that were not great or gray pubic hair, like all those things I don't enjoy. But I really, really like feeling centered, feeling calm, feeling more sure of myself, being less of a people pleaser, although I sure have a lot of work to do on that. Caring less about what people think. I don't think I'll get to the no fucks at all stage ever, just by my upbringing. But I'm grateful to care a whole lot less. It's okay to not be young. It's okay to not be young, even though being older means that, for the most part, the young people don't care what you say and they don't care what you think, and your opinion doesn't count to them. The young people have not inherited the world from us yet. I mean, for Christ's sake, our president is in their, I don't even know how old he is. Is he 80? He might be 80. Geez, our president is an old man, and everyone running our country is old. Gen X hasn't even really taken the reins yet. We haven't even demanded our seat at the table yet. I see it slowly happening, and I see a lot of women in my age really stepping up and stepping out and stepping up as leaders and stepping up in media and stepping up in the world, in politics, in all forums, in the boardroom, everywhere you go. Hopefully now people in their 40s and 50s are stepping up and taking the reins, and we're well overdue to do that. Because I really wouldn't want, my 20-year-old nephew running anything. I'm not trying to crap on the youth. I'm really not. I'm glad I'm not one of them. I don't relate to them, and I'm totally okay with not relating to them, if that makes any sense. And I don't relate to, I relate much more. I would be much happier having a conversation with a woman 25 years older than me than with a woman 25 years younger than me. I think that would be a more in-depth conversation. Although I do have some therapy patients who are 20, 25 years younger than me, and they are delightful. Maybe they picked me because the profile I wrote was all woo-woo and spiritual, and also like, I can help you through any transition you might be going through, whether that be from college into the workforce or from single life into married life. The stage that they are all in, I can definitely relate to. But their pop culture, their TV, their media, their music, I don't relate to at all. I can definitely relate much more to somebody who would be 25 years older than me. I can get down with the Beatles. I can get down with Fleetwood Mac. I can get down with the movies that they enjoyed, movies from the 60s. Sure, I enjoy them very much. I just feel like I have no idea what's going on when I look at recent media. I have no idea. And I don't judge myself for not engaging in it, not really caring about it, and not relating to it, because I know it wasn't written for me. It's a hard thing to let go of being young. But whether you choose to let go of it or not, it's going to be taken out of your hands anyway. And it probably already was. And that's totally okay. So, before I just continue to babble and babble, let's pick a card for this episode about no longer identifying with being young. And I always pull from the middle someplace. So, the card for this episode is the Seven of Swords. Okay, so this is interesting. The Seven of Swords is a card of slick words and deception. So I guess the message that we can relate to this would be, don't fool yourself. You might think that you're young, but if you're 50, you are not young. So don't lie about your age. Don't gloss over the terms of your birth certificate. Don't try to shave off or be coy about it. Just be upfront. Be 50 plus and proud. Be 45 plus and proud. Be 65 and proud. Be proud of yourself. You made it this far. Hopefully we'll make it another 25, 30, 40 years more. Be proud of where you are, everything you've lived through, all the choices, all the experiences that have led you here. Be proud of it and own it. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to Your Magical Midlife. I'm Kate Higgins, your host. You can follow me on Instagram at Your Magical Midlife. You can also check out my offerings on my website, which is www.yourmagicalmidlife.com. I offer individualized coaching for women 45 plus who are seekers, dreamers, and out-of-box thinkers. I also offer luxury retreats that include ritual, rites of passage, and ceremony for women 45 and beyond. I'd be so excited to work with you. Also, if you're feeling kind and you've enjoyed this episode, please leave me a 5-star review as it opens this podcast to a broader audience and keeps me in those pesky algorithms. Thank you so much for your partnership with me. I appreciate you. Have a great week.